Welcome to Sick Flicks, where we take a deep dive into the cinematic sewer to examine the goriest and most disturbing movies of all time. I'm Mike Bracken, aka the Horror Geek, and today we're looking at Nick Palumbo's Murder Set Pieces. Released in 2004, the film courted controversy from the start. Film processing labs refused to handle it. Maniac director Bill Lustig condemned it for going too far. Lionsgate grabbed the rights to it and released a version more brutally butchered than any of the main character's victims, and so on. Honestly, a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff is more interesting than the actual movie. It's been 15 years since Murder Set Pieces debuted, and the intervening years have seen its extreme horror crown usurped by titles like a Serbian film. But does it still shock and appall? We'll find out when we score it on the gore card later, but for now, let's get to the plot breakdown. Before we get started, one quick note. I'm doing this review from the unrated director's cut of the film, not the cut-to-ribbons abomination widely released by Lionsgate. The unrated version was put out by FLICKS and is hard to come by these days, but it's Nick Palumbo's preferred version of the film. Murder Set Pieces opens with a Jack the Ripper quote, some 9/11 footage, and some Texas Chainsaw Massacre-style photography. Man, this movie sure didn't waste any time getting to the sick shit. This guy ranting in German is our main character, simply known as the photographer.
Sag mir, was du fühlst.
We listen to that for a while, and then it's time for a title card. Young final girl Jade and her friends skip school. Then they take a ride in the photographer's muscle car. Sven Garrett plays the photographer, and his character is a total douchebag. But I'm glad this role didn't completely kill his career. Inside the car, there's some small talk about school.
So what's your favorite subject?
History.
History. Very good. See, that's my favorite too.
German history, if you catch my drift. Then Sven talks about taking Jade's picture.
Remind me to take your picture sometime.
Dude, that sounds way creepy. From here, we learn that Jade's sister works in a hair salon. Her hunky German boyfriend is a popular topic of conversation.
Charlotte's dating a German prince.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, he's a German prince, all right. Like maybe if Vlad the Impaler had been German instead of Romanian. Sven says he can't spend time with the girlfriend because he's got to shoot some girls.
Oh, not tonight. I have to shoot some girls.
Not literally. That's way too easy a death for any woman in this movie. Must be Monday. He's benching. Monday is International Chest Day, bro. Reps for Jesus. Then it's time for some lesbian sex. And no, I can't show you that shit. This isn't just your standard softcore shoot. The photographer decides he wants to get in front of the camera and in on the action. If you guess this is all going to get really bloody, give yourself a screenwriter's credit. Murder Set Pieces is often referred to as MSP by fans, and while that clearly stands for Murder Set Pieces, it would be equally accurate if you guessed murdering strippers and prostitutes. Old Sven here goes Jack the Ripper on the first girl with a wicked throat slash, then chokes out the second. Believe it or not, the throat slash lady is the lucky one, because girl number 2 winds up trapped in Sven's dungeon of horror, where she's presumably tortured before being killed. Then it's time for the first of a million flashbacks. Anyway, some kid's running on the train tracks. I'll give you 3 guesses who it is. From here, we cut to Jade and her sister. Jade clearly hates the photographer and makes no bones about it. But you know how it is. No one ever listens to kids.
He's not weird just because he's not from around here and he has different ways.
No, he's weird because he likes to tie up strippers in his basement and then torture them with power tools. We also learn that the photographer has given Jade's sister a key to his pad.
Then why did he give me a key to his house?
Remember that because it'll be important later.
Look at the way he talks. Hi, I am from Germany, and I wear tight pants, and I think I'm so cool, because I take pictures of naked girls with my stupid camera.
This is a pretty good impression, if we're being honest. Then they arrive for dinner. This looks like something straight out of Cannibal Holocaust. So basically, if Arnold Schwarzenegger played a stripper-killing psychopath, this is what it would look like.
Blood contains iron, and you need iron to reproduce new blood cells.
Thanks for the nutrition lesson, Dr. Oz. Then he launches into this diatribe.
Women suck blood out of men every day. But at the end of every month, it leaks out.
This guy is such a charmer. But hey, screw it. Who wants ice cream? Jade then sneaks off to use the bathroom. Who lit this house? Dario Argento's cinematographer from Suspiria? While exploring, Jade finds the photographer's straight razor and some totally not weird Nazi photos. Don't look now though, she's busted. Sven then gives her a history lesson. He clearly knows as much about that as he does nutrition.
He was a hero, you know? He fought the bad guys during the Second World War.
What a renaissance man. One great thing about this movie is the soundtrack from Giallo's Flame. These guys totally nailed the goblin vibe of classic 70s and 80s Italian horror cinema. Sven then picks up his next victim with his masterful slot skills. What a hero. He then takes her back to his studio. You totally know this movie is fiction because no woman in real life ever falls for the old "come back to my place, I'm a photographer" line. After some more photos, Sven excuses himself to grab his straight razor and deal with a nosebleed. Then we see his slaughter room. It's appropriately disgusting, thanks to Fred Vogel and the Toe Tag Pictures guys who did this film's FX. Sven's pumping iron again. Dude, working chest so often is a bad idea. You don't want to be the guy who skips leg day. Let's schedule some squats and some deadlifts. I'll help you work on your form. Sven then bench presses himself right into another flashback. This time it's a woman wandering the tracks. Any clue who she is? The next day, Sven is taking pictures of Jade on the DL. Not weird at all. Jade then has to explain what Nazis are to her dipshit friend.
His grandfather was a Nazi.
A Nazi?
A Nazi, like in World War II?
What do they teach these kids in public schools these days? So, you may have noticed that there's really no story to this movie, meaning the title, Murder Set Pieces, is extremely accurate. Most of the story is just to move us between murder scenes. After that, it's time for another stripper. There's a real rhythm to this movie. Sort of pointless normal scene, nudity scene, murder scene, flashback, repeat. Here we're about to get to another murder scene. Sven skips the sex and just grabs the girl when she's half naked. Then he starts drowning her, but decides slicing her throat is probably better. It's sort of creepy how she draws little hieroglyphics in her own blood as she dies. And man, his cleaning lady must hate cleaning his bathroom. How do you even get all that blood out of the grout? Dude, what did I tell you about all the benching? You're not even working on your back. Come on, brah. Don't look now, but we've got a Gunnar Hansen cameo. That's right, Leatherface himself turns up in this movie. Gunnar's a Nazi too, and he's selling Sven a pistol. See, I wasn't making that up. And that's the end of Gunnar Hansen in this movie. Guess what? It's time for another strip club scene. This movie is really testing my ability to edit out boobs. I'm scouring the background of every shot, trying to make sure one doesn't slip through. Man, this strip club scene goes on for forever. But eventually, it ends. Afterwards, Sven takes the stripper out for dinner and a movie. I'm kidding. You know what he does. Then Sven ties her up and gives her a lecture. Dude, you can just kill me if it means I don't have to listen to your boring speech.
I see the signs. I feel it!
You know what's next. It's time for another flashback. Sven's abusing this German Barbie in a creepy way. Someone should have probably taken this kid to a psychiatrist. In the next scene, Sven's in a deserted parking lot. You can probably guess what he was doing with that severed head. I feel like Sven is leaving a lot of forensic evidence behind for a guy who's killing people every 2 days on average. Back in his dungeon, Sven has a midnight snack. Oh good, we can now cross cannibalism off your taboo bingo card. So, following our handy scene chart, that means this is one of our relatively boring and meaningless normal scenes. But hey, at least Tony Todd's in it. Unfortunately, not even a Candyman cameo can save this scene.
I'm looking for a snuff film called The Nutbag. Do you have that in your archive anywhere?
Fun fact, Nutbag is Palumbo's first film. It's not a snuff film, but it makes murder set pieces look like Citizen Kane. Tony Todd tries to toss Sven out, but then some armed gunmen break in. If you've seen August Underground, you'll realize the shouting gunman is Fred Vogel. Sven then offs Tony Todd, but not before giving us a Charlie Manson quote.
Man, not like this, all right?
In my mind's eye, I light fires in your cities.
Because why not? And he leaves a witness. Not that it matters. There are no cops anywhere to be found in this movie. Oh good, another flashback. I'm guessing anyone who took Intro to Psych can figure out where all of this is going. Then it's back to nailing chicks, although this time it's literal. After that, he gets out his fake teeth. I don't think those things look very sanitary. If you forgot Jade Visser was in this movie, here she is. From here, we watch Sven stalk some kids. This scene feels like a nod to Halloween. It really serves no other purpose, though. Except that it leads us to some very on-the-nose symbolism. Sven then murders this young girl in a restroom. And this is one of the scenes that really pissed people off when this film was released back in 2004. It's far tamer than the rest of Murder Set Pieces killings, but the kid thing, well, it offended a lot of people. You know what this movie needs? It needs a montage. Here we get one, of push-ups to Hitler speeches and dead women. Believe it or not, there are still 30 minutes in this movie. Jade's friend is missing, and she has an idea where she is, so she steals the key to Sven's house. Then Sven has a heart-to-heart with this doll. It's probably the most he's actually talked to a woman in this entire movie. I guess Jade is a close second. In the next scene, Sven goes to meet another woman, but she's not his typical stripper victim. Who is this lady? It looks like she's his baby mama. After an argument with Ilsa, she-wolf of the SS here, he kills her, because really, pretty much any scene in this movie ends with Sven killing a woman. This movie has a real motif going. Then we come to Murder Set Pieces' most infamous scene. Sven terrorizes the infant child, who I'm assuming is his in the story. The kid's mother was on set, but clearly this baby was traumatized by what was happening. This scene caused Maniac director Bill Lustig to denounce the film. But yeah, old Sven here is passing the blade and leaving behind some more forensic evidence. Then we get another cameo. When Jade hops in the stranger's car at the gas station, that's another Texas Chainsaw Massacre alum. Ed O'Neill was the hitchhiker in the original 1974 film. Sort of fitting he's picking up a hitchhiker here. Jade gets dropped off at Sven's house and lets herself in. Remember that key from earlier? He's downstairs using his chainsaw on some woman's face. That's gonna leave a mark. Look, Jade, it's great that you armed yourself, but a chainsaw always beats butcher knife in Rochambeau. You feel that? Feels like a jump scare. Jade makes a classic final girl mistake here, running up the stairs and not out the front door. Let's hope it doesn't cost her. And then she hides under the bed. Has this kid never seen a horror movie before? Until now, there has been absolutely zero tension in this movie. But here, you actually feel something other than repulsion. Maybe it's a little cheap in that it's because the story has put a child in danger, but I'll take it. Instead of fleeing the house after avoiding Sven, she heads down to his slaughter room. Thanks for making it easy for him, I guess. Jade then finds her dead sister, but she's also cornered. Jade makes her move, but Sven catches her and gives her a few slices before he puts her on his workbench and gets down to business. She evens the odds by stabbing him with some scissors and then does her best Hacksaw Jim Duggan impression and beats him with a 2x4 before making her escape. Then it's time for another flashback. We see Sven get the doll. More symbolism. Jade does the battered final girl walk, and then we cut to a bus. Sven's alive and passing himself off as a Teutonic Garth Brooks. He runs into Cerina Vincent on the bus, and the cycle begins anew. Cerina Vincent showed up late in the shooting of Murder Set Pieces, and after the film spawned controversy, she asked to be removed, but Palumbo denied her request. If that weren't bad enough, they used her involvement to promote the film. Cue credits. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like we might need multiple gore cards for this piece of nastiness. Let's find out, shall we? Murder Set Pieces certainly delivers in terms of gross anatomy. We've got throat slashings, bite wounds, cannibalism, decapitation, enough blood to fill an oil tanker, body parts everywhere, and that gnarly chainsaw to the head bit, which is surprisingly restrained, all things considered. This is a gory film, and definitely a sick flick. But it's not just gory, it's genuinely disturbing as well. The kid killing, the sexual abuse and torture of women, it's all gruesome stuff. Murder Set Pieces is not a deep film, and it doesn't have much of a plot, but goddamn, it's a prime example of truth in advertising. The film promises murder set pieces, and it delivers. But this film also proves that sometimes you can get too much of a good thing. Wait, man, that sounds wrong. You know what I mean. Murder Set Pieces definitely wears you down as it goes. There's not enough story here to break up the gross stuff, and there's so much gross stuff that you eventually get sort of bored with it about halfway through. Oh, look, another stripper covered in blood. How quaint. Despite these issues, Murder Set Pieces gets an overall score of 4 barf bags out of 5. This is a sick flick, not the kind of thing you'd want to show your mom. Although, my mom is watching this video. Hi, Mom! Have you seen Murder Set Pieces? If so, let me know where it rates on your sick flick scale in the comments section below. And while you're down there, why not like this video and subscribe to the channel? I've got lots more gore coming your way, and you don't want to miss out on that, do you? Of course you don't. Oh, and be sure to check out some of my other Sick Flicks videos. You can find several linked here on the screen. I'll see you over there. don't leave me hanging. Until next time, I'm Mike Bracken, aka the Horror Geek, bringing you all the splatter that matters.